ever felt like you're missing something crucial, even when it's right there in front of you?
Yeah, absolutely. Or maybe that the real path to knowledge, isn't quite what you expected.
Exactly. Well, today we're taking a deep dive into an ancient text called the Mahālisuttaṃ.
It's quite a fascinating glimpse into an encounter in ancient Vasali. People approached the Buddha, he's called Bhagavan or Gautama here, with some really deep questions.
Questions about perception, spiritual practice. I mean, the nature of existence itself, right?
Pretty much. Our mission, if you like, for this deep dive is to pull out some core insights, like how our focus shapes what we experience.
And what a meaningful spiritual journey actually looks like, maybe versus what we think it looks like.
Right, and how, profound wisdom can come out of seemingly simple questions. This source, it's really packed with surprising details and deep ideas all through these quite vivid dialogues.
Okay, so let's get into it. Where does this story actually start? Set the scene for us.
Right, so we begin in Vasali. Bhagavan is staying there, specifically in a place called Mahavana, in the Kyugarda Sala.
The hall with the gabled roof, wasn't it?
That's the one, a evocative name.
And who turns up to see him there? It sounds like quite a gathering.
It is. The text mentions two main groups arriving. First, you've got these Brahmin envoys from Kosala and Magadha.
Okay.
They're actually in Vasali on business, but they hear about Bhagavan Gautama, his excellent reputation, and they think, we have to go see him.
Makes sense. And the second group, you mentioned another key figure.
Yes, Oṭṭhaddho. He's a prominent Licchavi leader, sort of a statesman figure from that republic.
Right.
And he arrives with a large assembly of his own people. He's also really eager to meet the Bhagavan, who's described as the arhat, the perfectly enlightened one.
So two groups, both keen for an audience.
Yeah.
But they don't just walk straight in, do they?
No, not immediately. They first meet Nagita, who's Bhagavan's attendant.
Okay.
And Nagita tells them, look, Bhagavan's in seclusion right now. It's not really the time for a visit.
And how do they react?
Very patiently, actually. Both groups decide, okay, we'll wait.
Which leads to this interesting moment with a novice, Siho.
Exactly. Siho, who's a novice monk, he sees these crowds waiting around. He speaks to Nagita.
Yeah,
and then he kind of takes the initiative and goes directly to Bhagavan himself to convey the request for an audience.
And Bhagavan agrees.
He does. He has a seat prepared for him outside in the shade of the monastery building. He comes out, sits down.
Then the envoys approach first.
Yes, the Brahmin envoys come up. They exchange the usual pleasantries, polite greetings, and then they sit down.
And then Oṭṭhaddho.
Then Arhatha and his whole assembly do the same. So now you have this quite significant gathering, all waiting respectfully.
Okay, the stage is set. Who speaks first?
It's Oṭṭhaddho who actually kicks off the main discussion, and he starts with a really intriguing question about perception.
Ah, yes, the story about Sunakkhatto. This is fascinating.
It really is. Oṭṭhaddho brings up a conversation he had earlier with this other Licchavi, Sunakkhatto.
And Sunakkhatto had spent time with Bhagavan.
Yeah, 3 years living under his guidance. And Sunakkhatto reported something very specific. He saw divine forms described as lovely, captivating, sensual things.
Right.
But, and this is the key part, he did not hear divine sounds, even though they were apparently described in similar terms, lovely and captivating.
So Oṭṭhaddho's question is basically, were the sounds just not there for Sunakkhatto, or were they there and he just somehow missed them?
Exactly that. It's a great question, isn't it, about subjective experience versus, well, what's actually out there?
And Bhagavan's response cuts right to the heart of it.
It does. He clarifies immediately. The divine sounds were present for Sunakkhatto. He simply didn't hear them.
Okay, so why not? What's the explanation?
Well, it comes down to this concept of samādhi, which means concentration or mental unification.
Right, concentration.
And Bhagavan gives this really nuanced explanation. He says a bhikkhu, a monk or practitioner, can cultivate samādhi in a one-sided way.
One-sided. How so?
Specifically for seeing divine forms, they can direct their focus, their concentrated mind towards seeing these forms in any direction, east, south, west, north, above, below, across.
Okay.
But if their samādhi is cultivated only for seeing, it's not cultivated for hearing the divine sounds. So such a bhikkhu will see the forms, but they won't hear the sounds, even if those sounds are objectively present.
Wow. So Sunakkhatto basically had his spiritual antenna tuned only to the visual channel, not the audio one.
That's a great way to put it, yeah. It implies our perception isn't just passively receiving what's there. It's actively shaped by how we've trained our minds, where we direct our focus.
Which is incredible. It means what we perceive isn't just about objective reality, but about our internal settings almost.
Precisely. What you cultivate, you perceive. What you don't cultivate, well, it might as well not be there for you, even if it is. And the reverse is also true, Bhagavan explains.
Meaning you could tune into the sounds, but not the sights.
Exactly. A bhikkhu could cultivate samadhi specifically for hearing divine sounds in any direction, but not for seeing the forms.
And in that case, they'd hear everything but see nothing unusual.
Correct. They'd perceive the auditory phenomena, but not the visual ones.
And I assume there's an option for both?
Yes, he mentions dual-sided samadhi as well. A practitioner can cultivate concentration for both seeing the divine forms and hearing the divine sounds.
And they'd experience the full spectrum, so to speak.
They would experience both. So the conclusion regarding Sunakkhatto is quite clear.
It wasn't that the sounds were absent.
No, it was because his specific practice, his cultivation of samadhi, wasn't aimed at hearing them. Simple as that, yet profound.
It really is a powerful lesson about focused attention shaping our reality, isn't it? Applies way beyond just meditation.
Absolutely. So this explanation naturally prompts Oṭṭhaddho's next question.
Right, he asks if that's the point. Are bhikkhus leading this whole holy life under Bhagavan just to achieve these kinds of samadhi states? Like, are divine sights and sounds the ultimate goal?
And Bhagavan's answer is a very firm, very clear no.
No. So what is the point then?
He says, and this is crucial, that there are other qualities, higher and more excellent, that are the real reason bhikkhus lead the holy life.
Higher and more excellent qualities. Okay, this sounds important. What are they?
This is where he outlines these progressive stages of spiritual liberation, actual freedom from suffering. The first stage he mentions is the Sotapanna.
The stream enterer. What defines that stage?
It's achieved by destroying, completely eradicating 3 specific fetters, think of them as mental chains.
Which are?
Identity, view the ingrained belief in a fixed, separate self. Then there's doubt, specifically skeptical doubt about the path. And finally, clinging to rites and rituals, believing they alone can bring liberation.
So breaking these 3 chains makes one a stream enterer.
Yes, and such a person, the text says, is assured of not falling into lower realms of existence and is absolutely certain to attain full enlightenment eventually. It's a major milestone.
Okay, stage 1. What comes next?
The next stage is the Sakadagami, which translates as the once returner.
Once returner, meaning they only come back once more.
Exactly. They've also destroyed those first 3 fetters, just like the Sotapanna. But crucially, they've also significantly weakened greed, hatred, and delusion.
Weakened, but not totally gone.
Right. Reduced to a point where they only need one more rebirth in this human world to make a final end of suffering. They're very close.
Got it. And after the once returner?
Comes the anagami, the non-returner.
A non-returner. So they don't come back to this world at all.
Correct. This stage is reached by destroying 5 lower fetters. That includes the first 3.
Identity view, doubt, clinging to rights.
Yes, plus sensual desire and ill will. Once those 5 are gone, the person is reborn spontaneously in higher, purer realms. And they attain final nibbana right there from those higher realms. They never return to the cycle of rebirth in this world or lower ones.
Okay, that's a significant level of attainment. But is that the final goal?
Not quite the absolute peak described here. The ultimate achievement is the arahant.
The fully enlightened one.
Yes. This is realized by destroying all remaining defilements. Every single mental impurity or outflow, the Pali word, is sava.
All of them. Completely.
Completely. An arahant, the text says, lives having directly realized and attained liberation of mind and liberation by wisdom right here in this very life. That's the final goal.
Wow. Okay, so those are the higher and more excellent qualities, not just seeing cool things or hearing nice sounds in meditation.
Precisely. Those experiences, while maybe powerful, are secondary. These stages of liberation represent the real fruit of the path.
It really puts things in perspective, doesn't it?
So,
Thinking about what we chase versus what leads to genuine, lasting freedom.
it absolutely does. It shifts the focus dramatically.
So naturally, Oṭṭhaddho asks the next logical question. How? Is there a specific path or practice to actually realize these stages?
You anticipated it perfectly. Yes, he asks exactly that. Is there a way?
And Bhagavan's answer,
Is a definitive yes, there is.
which is, don't keep us in suspense.
It is the Noble Eightfold Path.
Ah, the Noble Eightfold Path. Many people have heard of it, but maybe don't know all the parts.
Right. Bhagavan explicitly states this is the practice. He lists the components. Right view.
Seeing things as they really are.
Right. Intention.
Your motivation, your resolve,
Right. Speech.
speaking truthfully, kindly, helpfully.
Right. Action.
Ethical conduct, not harming.
Right. livelihood.
Earning a living ethically,
Right. Effort.
cultivating wholesome states, abandoning unwholesome ones,
Right. Mindfulness.
awareness, being present.
And finally, right concentration.
So samādhi, the very thing we started with, but now placed in a much broader context.
Exactly. It's part of the path, not the goal itself.
Yeah.
This whole path, this integrated practice, is presented as the direct way to achieve those higher stages of liberation.
It's a complete framework for transformation. Okay,
Yeah.
so we have the goal, we have the path. But then the text throws in another little story, right? A sort of philosophical curveball.
It does, yeah. It shifts location and time slightly, recalling an incident when Bhagavan was in Kosambi at a place called Gositarama.
And who approaches him this time?
Two ascetics. One is Mencio the Wanderer, and the other is Jalio, who's described as his disciple.
And they come with a really fundamental question, one that philosophers have debated for centuries.
Absolutely. They ask him point blank, is the soul, the jīva, the same as the body, the sarīra, or is the soul different from the body? The classic mind-body problem, essentially.
The ultimate either question, maybe. And how does Bhagavan respond? Does he pick a side?
Interestingly, no. He doesn't give a direct yes or no, same or different.
What does he do instead?
Instead, he describes the path of practice again. He talks about how a Tathagata, an enlightened one like himself, progresses through deep states of meditative absorption, the jhanas, and through developing profound insight, eventually reaches a state where they understand through direct experience that there is no further state of being. Complete liberation.
Right, but how does that answer their question about soul and body?
Well, here's the crucial part. He says that someone who truly knows and sees this ultimate reality, who has reached that state through direct experience.
Not just thinking about it.
Exactly, not just conceptually. That person is simply not in a position to declare whether the soul is the same as the body or different. Those categories don't apply anymore.
So it's not that he won't answer, it's that from that state realization, the question itself is ill-posed or transcended.
That seems to be the implication. He himself, possessing that deep knowledge born of experience, also doesn't make such assertions. It suggests that ultimate truth lies beyond these neat, dualistic boxes we try to fit it into.
That's a real aha moment, isn't it? Some truths are just deeper than our standard ways of thinking and talking about them. It's not either. It's something else entirely.
Precisely. It shows the limits of conceptual thought when dealing with profound experiential realization.
Okay, let's try and recap the main takeaways from this deep dive into the Mahālisuttaṃ. It feels like we've covered a lot of ground.
We have. First, there was that key insight about perception, how our focus, our samādhi, literally shapes what we experience. Things can be present, but if we're not tuned in, we miss them.
Like Sunakkhatto and the divine sounds. Then, the crucial distinction between maybe impressive meditative states, like seeing forms or hearing sounds, and the actual goals of the holy life.
Right. Those goals being the progressive stages of liberation stream entry, once returning, non-returning, and finally, arhatship, true freedom from suffering.
And we got the roadmap for that journey, the Noble Eightfold Path, the practical, integrated way to cultivate the wisdom, ethics, and concentration needed.
Absolutely. Right view all the way to right concentration.
And finally, that fascinating detour into philosophy, the soul-body question, showing us that some truths might just transcend our usual either categories. They need to be known directly, not just debated.
A reminder that direct experience can sometimes go beyond what language can easily capture.
So thinking about all this, what really stands out to you listening right now from this exploration of the Mahālisuttaṃ?
Yeah, maybe consider how cultivating a specific kind of focus or concentration in your own life might change what you perceive in your work, maybe your relationships, or even just, your inner world.
That's a great point. And what higher goals, beyond the immediate or the superficial things, might you be aiming for? What represents real, lasting well-being for you?
It's worth reflecting on.
And maybe one final thought to leave you with. If, as that last story suggested, the deepest truths sometimes resist being neatly categorized, what other either questions in your own life might benefit from looking beyond the simple answers, from seeking a perspective that transcends that duality?